this is the first, I guess, sit-down video that I'm doing, which means that I'm probably going to not actually look in the lens a lot. So, but I will work on it and I will try my best, but if I'm, looking there, just bear with me, okay? So, today I'm going to talk about a topic that you already know I'm talking about because it's in the title. I am not going to Hillsong College anymore. And I'm going to tell you why, because I'm sure it really confuses a lot of people. It's been the plan for about 9 months now, and the plan has changed. And I suppose that it is kind of embarrassing because I was very confident that that was where God was calling me and that was what I was supposed to do and all this stuff. And I was very prideful about it too, not in the sense that I was like, look at me, but I was like, if people would challenge me about it or say maybe that's not a good idea, then I'd be like, no, you have no idea. I know what God's saying to me. Don't, and I'm sorry to those people that I said that to because that was really rude. I really did believe that I was supposed to go to Hillsong College. I really felt like I was hearing from God with that. There were a lot of signs that I thought were for Hillsong College, all these things, and I believe that some of them were, and I believe that he did this for a reason, and I can get into that later, but the things that I have learned in this, how to save really well, which is great because I will need that for what I'm doing instead. God has just taught me so much, so I wouldn't trade it for the world. Overthinking about it, I am not mad at all at God, I'm not like, God, why did you put this in my heart, or why didn't you take this out of my heart? I prayed about this so much, and just God, if this isn't your will, shut the door now, blah, blah, blah. So yes, I am a little embarrassed, but my excitement outweighs the embarrassment, which is why I'm making this video. Okay, so we're gonna get started with my best friend, Taylor. The way we became friends, I'm not gonna explain the story because I think it's too personal, but we shouldn't have become friends. Really, that was weird. It was a God thing for sure. We connected so fast, so easily, and she's literally my best friend. So initially when we became friends, when we were first building our foundation of friendship, talking about different things in our lives, what you're pursuing right now. Oh, I'm going to college in Australia. Oh, I'm planning a church. And so she told me about this church, which is the House of Impact, also known as Thoy. I'll probably refer to it as Thoy because it's a little easier. So they are planting a church in South Haven, Mississippi, which is right below Memphis, and it's gonna be freaking insane. So when she first told me about this, it was really weird, but I just had this deep connection and deep passion for this church, from the moment that she told me about it. So I started praying super hard for it. I started believing in things, just how great this was gonna be, and I guess God kind of revealed to me how big of a deal this really was. And it's just huge things are going to be happening, and I can't even put into words, but this isn't just going to be a mega church. This isn't just going to be a big church or an evangelical church. It's a pastor church, and people are going to be led to Christ, but then led with Christ, if that makes sense. And it's just a huge deal because I think so much we look at the stats, so how many people saved, how many people are members, how much money you bring in, all that, and that's how we see success. But I believe that Thoy's success is going to be based off of the deep relationships with God, because you can go to church and not have a deep relationship with God. You can be saved and not have a deep relationship with God. You can tithe a bunch of money and not have a deep relationship with God. Numbers aren't everything. Deep connection and relationship is what it's about. So there were a lot of red flags for Hillsong. Not that Hillsong itself is a bad thing. I believe that is a good place to go to college and everything like that, and it's amazing. But there were red flags as far as I was concerned that I wasn't supposed to go. But I ignored them because I saw them as the devil trying to stop me from living out my purpose. There were a lot of signs that I thought were for Hillsong that now I'm looking back, because I keep a journal and stuff like that, now I'm looking back and being oh my gosh, this was definitely a sign for working for Thoy, not going to Hillsong, which is hilarious, and everything just fits so much better and makes so much more sense. I'm just going to be really raw with you guys because that's kind of my mission for this YouTube channel anyways, is just being completely raw and just allowing people to understand that every Christian goes through struggles. Every person that is pursuing God goes through things, and I want to be completely upfront and vulnerable about all these struggles and different things because they all have a huge impact on my future. So I've been through this season just recently, literally until Wednesday. where I just really couldn't hear God. Like I was like, God, like I am listening with everything I have and I cannot hear you for like months. And it was just a really hard time for me, which led me to a lot of things, like learning that God's there whether we can feel him or not, and that should be enough for us. God's worthy of our praise without him doing anything or making us feel any certain type of way, just like that. But it was a season of, it felt like a season of silence, but 2020, it was a season of silence because I wasn't listening to the God that wanted me to live for him. I was trying to hear a God that wanted me to impress people with what I was doing. But the most important thing to me is that God sees me as successful, not other people. And my biggest fear was that my Christian friends who were so excited about Hillsong would not support me, forgetting about Hillsong and doing this because they're like, oh, but this was going to be such a great thing. First of all, Hillsong was a deep desire, but this church is a pure desire. And secondly, I wanted to go to Hillsong because of what I could do through God, but being able to go and work at this church, it's what God's going to be able to do through me. And I think that's a huge deal, honestly, because I can't do as much through God as God can do through me. His intentions are much greater than mine. Then on Wednesday, it worked out that I was in Nashville on Tuesday and I had Wednesday off, so I was like, well, I'm 3 hours away from South Haven, I might as well go and visit my best friend who I haven't seen for like 5 months. I drove over there. About an hour out, I got really anxious. I was so stressed and like crying and like thinking about all these things, and I was just like, why am I even doing this? Like, and I almost turned around because I was just like, what if she doesn't like me? Like, we haven't really like hung out and talked before. We've just been in the same vicinity. Like, what am I even doing? Why am I doing this? And I almost turned around and I was like, oh no, like I'm an hour away, like just do it. And you know what I'm saying? And then I passed into South Haven and like there was just this peace. And I started to get so excited and so like happy, giddy, which is weird because I was exhausted. And I didn't even realize all that I was excited for, but God was hyping me up and he knew. Just driving into South Haven gave me so much peace. So I hung out with the girls for a while and that was super fun. And then we caught Tabitha, their mom, my mom, on the tail end of her break. It's like probably 2 minutes. We walk in, I hug her, say hi, I love you, and then we leave, all of us, separately, right? So super quick little interaction there, and we had never like hugged before or like things like that. Like we'd met one time before. Oh, this is so funny. The the only other interaction we've ever had, well, there's actually two. So the first ever interaction I've ever had with Tabitha was at Nate and Andy's wedding in November, and we were like lined up to do sparklers. Someone was like, does anybody have a lighter? And I was like, I've got like a bunch in my car. And she looks at me, she's like, you don't smoke, do you? And I was like, no, I use them for sparklers for photography. And she was like, okay, good, because you're gonna ruin your voice, you know, like all this. And I was like, okay. And then the next day at church, I got to worship with Taylor, which was super cool. After service, the only thing she says, she hasn't introduced herself. As a matter of fact, I don't think we've ever formally introduced. It was just like, boom, she just started talking to me like she knew me, which is great, because she did, in a weird way, that's different. Anyways, so she walks up to me afterwards, and I think this is the funniest thing ever. And I don't even know if she remembers this, but I do, because I remember everything. And she just says, oh, hey, Rose. That kind of scared me a little bit. And so she just goes, I'm just really frustrated that I don't know you well enough to smack you in the butt. I was like, what? And that was it. She walked away. And I was like, okay, guess that'll never happen because you didn't even introduce yourself. So we go back to the apartment. We're just chilling, like watching TV. Then they prayed for me, which was like, wow, love them. Then we went down, took pictures, because like, what else do you do? And then I was like, okay, I really gotta leave, because I was like an hour past when I was gonna leave, but I was just like, I don't wanna leave. And then I like felt like so heavy and like started crying. And Taylor was like, don't cry. And I was like, I can't stop. And so I just like started like sobbing, which was so weird, like, ugh. But I feel like it was not just because I was leaving my best friend, but like because like of something deeper, but I didn't know what. So I drive away, I text Taylor, and I'm like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. Like, I was kind of nervous about today, like, blah, blah. You know, just all that soppy stuff. And then she said, also, my mom sent this and said, I just feel so heavy right now. Like, I feel really sad. I just need her to know that. Something along those lines. I don't think that's exact, but so I was like, what the heck? So then I text Tabitha, and I'm like, why are you sad? All I see, because I'm driving, right? You know, trying to be a safe, like, driver. And so she texted me back this long paragraph, but I just look down and just see the beginning of it, right? And it just says, I think you need to be here. And like, I've never experienced this before, but it was the weirdest thing. Like, my whole body was like an electric shock. And it hurt a little bit, and it just kept hurting. And it was funny because I was just like, ow, because like I knew it was God, you know. I was like, bro, can you chill? And then I was like, I'm not supposed to, like, I said this out loud. I said, I'm not supposed to go to Hillsong College. And then, like, I stopped feeling so, like, much pain in my whole body. And I was like, what? And like, at first it was just like, like, I get what she means. Like, I don't think she really intended for me to just be like, oh yeah, I'm not supposed to go to Hillsong College then. I think her intention was just to say, like, you're supposed to be a part of this. Like, maybe now, but maybe one day, like, just whatever, you're supposed to be a part of this. I was like, wow. So then I just kind of sat in silence, like, in the car, waiting for her to call me, because I was like, can you call me? Because I was like, I'm falling apart. But I just, like, sat in silence and just, like, was praying, and, like, God, like, is this what you want? Because I am willing to do whatever you want me to do, like, no matter what. And I was just like, wow, what if I am? How awesome. You know, and I just started thinking about, like, what an honor it would be to do that. And, like, then I was like, wow, I'm so unworthy to do this. So then fast forward, I get on the phone with Tabitha. We talk about all this stuff, and she's so passionate about being a part of my life regardless of whether I'm there or not. Like, she just wants to be there, and she's rooting for me and all this stuff. And I was just like, wow, love you. And so I was like, well, so am I not supposed to go to Hillsong College? And she was like, girl, that is for you to decide, like, with God. Like, I'm not going to tell you what to do, because she's a little biased, if you know what I'm saying. But she was like, definitely, like, pray about it and whatever. And I was like, okay. And then she spoke into my life about something that no one else knew, so weird. It was just like a really good conversation, and I was just like, wow. So then we hung up, and then I thought some more. So, like, mind you, like, this is a 7-hour car trip, and I didn't listen to music until the last 30 minutes of this drive, because I was, like, talking to God, and talking to people, and talking to God, and, like, all this stuff, just, like, figuring out the mess in my head. So, that conversation went really well. I prayed some more about it. I was just like, wow, like, this is all starting to make much more sense. So I called a bunch of friends, and some of them were, like, speaking and being like, pray about it, you know, like, don't be asking so many people, like, just ask God. Because people speaking in your life is great, but, like, ultimately, like, God makes the final decisions. And then some friends were like, well, this sounds like a better thing. This sounds more like God than going to Hillsong College does. Then I called one more friend, Auburn, my pal, and she was like, I've got like 2 minutes, but go. And I was like, I'm not going to Australia anymore, and I'm going to Mississippi to help plant a church. And I was like, wow, that sounded great. I love that. And like, I was just like, that's a cool truth. Like, I don't know, it was just like weird. Like, when I spoke it, I was like, this is right. Like, straight up, like, and she, like, kind of laughed and was like, yes! And I was like, what? And she was like, that's awesome, and I've been praying about this, and, like, I seriously believe that, but I didn't want to sway you, because I don't agree as much with, like, just different things. She was like, I'm biased. And so I didn't want to say anything, because I was worried that I would be biased. But, like, I've been believing in this, like, all this stuff, and I was just like, why didn't you tell me? You know, and she's like, well, because God told me not to tell you. And I was like, okay. And so that was just like confirmation, like in my heart. Like when I said it, it was like, yes. And it was so weird, but like all this stress just like went away. It was the weirdest thing. And as I continued to think about it and pray about it, I realized how stressed I had gotten about Hillsong without realizing it. And just like what major am I supposed to pick? Like, where am I gonna serve after this? Like, you know, how am I gonna afford it? Like all these things, you know, because I had saved up really well and I believed that God would provide for me. But at the same time, I was just so stressed for some reason, even though I was giving it all to God, like in a way. But so I believe that the reason for that was that like I wasn't doing what he was calling me to, so he was trying to like warn me in this way. So yeah, it was almost like instant relief. Like I was just like, deep breath in. And so then I called my mom, and that was a funny experience because I think she was just tired. So then I talked to her later about it all day at work pretty much, and because we worked together. So I talked to her all day about it, and we kind of finally came to this like consensus, like, okay, like she's not 100% for it, but she's also not like against it, you know, because there's like money and like different things, like, well, now you're not gonna have a degree to show for anything, like you're just going to work at church, and then what, you know, and all those things, like whatever. This is a huge thing that I'm so passionate about this church and this family, the Wheelers. They're really close to me, and I care a lot about them. So to me, this is the right move. This is the right decision. I'm not afraid. I'm not like nervous. I'm not embarrassed. I'm not any of those things. I'm just excited, passionate, and ready. I like cannot wait to see what God does through the House of Impact. I almost decided that I would not vlog because it's not Australia, but then I was like, nah, this is better, and I want people to know what's going on in Mississippi and all that. So I decided that I am going to continue to vlog, which should be very interesting for the Wheeler family when I get there, because they're going to be in them and they're just going to have to deal with it. But just to tell you how passionate I am about this and how much happier I am about this decision than I ever was about Hillsong, truthfully. It's amazing, and I cannot wait to see what God does through this and through me and through them. So yeah, we're just going from glory to glory. I hope you guys will join me on this adventure, this journey, because it's going to be a crazy one, and God is going to show up in crazy ways every day. And I believe that with everything in my heart. I hope you guys have a great week, a great life, a great day, all that. Hope it's full of blessing in God's presence. And I will see you guys next time. Peace out.